Welcome to night number 2 of History Bedtime Stories. As we all fight the coronavirus, we are going to try to do our best to every night keep history education going in the city of Detroit in the state of Michigan for all of the kids that are off school. And tonight's bedtime story is about a man nicknamed Old Pap and his horse, Plug Ugly. The old man in question is Alpheus Starkey Williams. He's called the hero of 2 wars because he fought in both the Mexican-American War and the American Civil War. He was the Postmaster General for the city of Detroit. He was later elected to Congress. He tried to run for governor. It didn't work out so well. He lost. But he was a lawyer and a judge. He ran newspapers, and he was considered such a good leader that his men referred to him as Old Pap, or father of our military march. Starkey Williams was the kind of guy who believed if you believed in something in your core, right in your gut, if you knew right was right, you had to go fight for it. So even though he's sitting pretty in Detroit as the Mexican-American War breaks out, he's got a law degree from Yale, born and raised in Connecticut, got good connections. He's in Detroit with a judgeship. He signs up and goes to the Mexican-American War. He's enlisted as a lieutenant colonel. He fights in the war for 18 months, and when the war is won, he comes back to Detroit. From that success, he's given the postmaster's job, which was big. That was an attaboy or a pat on the shoulder. It was a way of saying to someone, we see you in the political sphere. We see you running for office. One day you'll be mayor, one day a congressman, maybe even governor of the state. So again, he's sitting pretty in the 1850s, but when the American Civil War breaks out, he could have been exempt. He could have said, I'm too old to fight. But instead, an ardent abolitionist, a man who believed that slavery was wrong, who was willing to fight to preserve the Union, to keep the United States of America together, and a man who said no man should own another, he asks for a commission back into the Army. And President Abraham Lincoln gives him one with a promotion. He gets the position of Brigadier General in the Union Army, and he marches off to war. And this time, he has a secret weapon, Plug Ugly, his horse. Now, Plug Ugly is a nickname, a term used at the time for a brawler, a fighter, the kind of person who could give you a punch, beat you up, get up the next morning and do it again. Also, the name for somebody who could take a punch and keep on kicking. Now, Plug Ugly wasn't a traditional horse for a general. Normally, generals had show horses, big, majestic animals that had gorgeous coats, that looked good in photos, that were inspiring in paintings. Plug Ugly was not that horse. One of his ears kind of hung kind of funny to the side. He lost half his tail within the first few months of the American Civil War, so he was already sort of funky looking. But man, was this horse a true Plug Ugly. He could take a punch and keep going. In the course of the next 4 years, he fell 10 feet off a cliff with Alpheus still riding him. When the soldiers thought he was dead and raced to the bottom of the ravine to take the saddle off of him, Plug Ugly stretched, whinnied, got back to his hooves, and marched to the front of the line to continue the march to the south. When Plug Ugly was shot twice, he kept going in battle. On a 2-week train ride down into the deep south to meet Sherman's forces for the battles that would come, Plug Ugly was so badly beaten, licked, kicked, and hit by other horses that when he arrived, Alpheus Starkey Williams said, "My horse looks as mangy as a dog." Yet in battle, Plug Ugly let no man down. As the soldiers fighting under Old Pap, Starkey Williams starts saying, "Old Pap cares for each of us to the man. Like a father, he marches alongside us and leads us into battle. And his horse, Plug Ugly, cannot be killed." This becomes a rallying cry, something they get behind, the thing they think is the luck that will bring them through the war. So as Plug Ugly carries Alpheus Starkey Williams into another battle. It's this rainy, muddy night, and no one wants to be there. Everyone's terrified. The average age of a Civil War soldier traveling with the general is 17 years old. Scared out of their minds, they find courage in watching Plug Ugly and their old pap general march on. Then all of a sudden, a mortar shell comes and it wedges itself in the mud right under Plug Ugly. Starkey Williams is thrown from the horse. He recounts in a letter that he feels like he's tossed 10 feet high and the mud rages up like an exploding volcano. The minute he lands, wet and muddy, he races to his horse, expecting Plug Ugly to be absolutely gone. He's shocked to find that although the horse is bleeding, he only has 3 or 4 small injuries and is able to get up and continue the charge. Soldiers cheer and yell. They scream and hoot and holler and charge behind Old Pap and Plug Ugly yet again. Together, the unlikely pair, a horse no one expected, and one of the only generals in the American Union Army to not be a West Point graduate. See battles at Bull Run, Antietam, Shenandoah, help hold the Potomac River for the Union and defend Benner's Hill at the Battle of Gettysburg. Near the end of the war, Plug Ugly is in terrible shape. He has been injured, he is having trouble walking, and can't even be used as a pack horse. Alpheus Starkey Williams is forced to start using his show horse, a horse he had named Yorkshire. That horse carries him into the final battles of the Civil War, and Plug Ugly is sold to a farmer for $50 and a promise that his life will be easily lived. Sadly, Plug Ugly doesn't make it to see the end of the war. He passes away just a couple of weeks before the Confederacy surrenders to the Union. General Alpheus Starkey Williams does make it home to Detroit. When he comes home, he talks of Plug Ugly with great love and affection. He tells his daughter Mary that life without Plug Ugly is one filled with grief. And when he runs for Michigan governor, people come to his rallies chanting for Old Pap and Plug Ugly. When Alpheus passes away, making very old bones, he is buried at Elmwood Cemetery here in the city of Detroit, and pretty quickly people start talking about erecting a monument to his honor. It takes until 1912 for funds to be raised, and it's sort of decided that this monument will go out on Belle Isle, which is our island park in the middle of the Detroit River, a beautiful place of remembrance, of recreation, and to this very day, the monument sits there. It took 10 years to complete because World War I interrupted production. But when it's finished, and I got out one of my old Detroit postcards to show you, it's placed here on Belle Isle, on the main road just past the intersection at Loiter's Way. Today, most Detroiters know Alpheus Starkey Williams and his good horse, Plug Ugly, as the man riding a horse in the middle of the road that we all have to go around when we go out to Belle Isle to go swimming. He's shown riding the horse with his hat pulled down low, as if in a storm with wind and rain battering him. The horse looks down, sort of covering its face, its ear slightly twitched. On the side of the monument, it says, "A hero of 2 wars." But what I see when I pass that monument are 2 friends, Plug Ugly and Old Pap, who proudly served the Union to the very best of their abilities for longer than anyone thought they could, and with more honors than anyone thought they could earn. Alpheus and Plug Ugly, Old Pap and Plug Ugly are 2 of my very favorites, and when you visit their monument out on Belle Isle, you'll know what it looks like, because in the links down below, I will post in the comments some photos of the monument, courtesy of the Burton Historical Collections Photo Archive. I'll also be running another contest for tons of Detroit sticker swag. Give us your best drawing of your best animal friend. We'll do an award for adults and an award for kids. Post them in the comment. You'll have until Tuesday to do it. On Tuesday, we'll pick a favorite and send you a direct message to get your address and mail those out for you. Keep following, like, and share these videos so that we can get them out to more people. Remember to wash your hands, and good night.